What's up and welcome back to Bardown Talking Hockey episode number 187, presented by the Barroom Network. It is the home of everything relating to the greatest sport in the world. My name is Vinny Parisi, and I am still a believer that the New Jersey Devils can win the Stanley Cup. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller, and he is the king of all beans. Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Now, the last time I was sitting here, we had the jerseys in the background, beautiful jerseys.
Yep, incredible. Love
a little
hockey.
bit different maybe this time. They're not the same lineup. They're a little changed. The Hall's not there. They're all Blackhawks jerseys now. Because of the conversation we had last week, every time Tom buys a jersey, they're traded. So this is the wall of jerseys. He got the Hagel jersey, immediately traded.
Yep.
The Fortan jersey, immediately traded. The Brandon Saad jersey, immediately traded after that. This is proof why Tom needs to take one for the team.
Yes.
And get a Jones jersey.
Yes. And Seth Jones played in the Winter Classic. I stand by it. He played in the Winter Classic. I think he had an assist in the Winter Classic.
He did.
And the Winter Classic jersey's sick.
It's beautiful.
I think it's the best Winter Classic jersey, road or home.
This one's sick too. I like this one.
Oh, without question, the White Sox jersey.
Yeah, it's a sick one.
I call it the White Sox jersey just because, it's black and white. Like if the White Sox were a hockey, if the White Sox were a hockey team, that's what their jersey would look like.
I have one of those.
I don't actually, and I would like to get one. I would probably get like Patrick Kane or Taves, like one of the legends. Maybe Keith, one of the legends, because those jerseys are timeless. Did you see the article I wrote about trading Hagel?
Yeah, I didn't click on it, but I saw you post it.
They got Boisvert and Oliver Moore out of trading him. And I know he developed into a superstar kind of with Tampa. He made Team Canada, which is arguably the hardest team in the world to make. But he wouldn't be doing that with the Blackhawks. Or he might be that good, but it wouldn't be helpful. You're going to get, part of the reason they have one of the best farm systems, according to every outlet in the world, including the Hockey News, is because of guys like Sasha, Boisvert, and Oliver Moore being part of it. And they wouldn't have those guys without trading Hagel. So,
yeah, listen, I'm excited. Oliver Moore's going to be sick.
Hell yeah. And I think Boisvert is a very, very poor man's version of Heischer. That two-way centerman, plays hard and good in all three zones. He's nominated for the Hobie Baker as a freshman. So, we'll see how it goes for him. I wrote also about not claiming Saad because he's not worth $4.5 million. But now I believe signing him for a minimum contract is a good idea for any team. I didn't want the Devils to claim him. I didn't want the Blackhawks to claim him. Now I would love if both of them signed him for $1 million or less.
That'd be a steal.
Because he had 23 goals last year. Why can't he re-find his form with a new team?
Absolutely. Imagine if he went to the Hawks. It would be his third stint.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
How many? That doesn't happen with teams.
I would go to a team in the playoffs if I were him.
He's not going to come to the Hawks. I'm just saying, third time. That
totally
never happens.
No, it rarely. And I hated all three Brandon Saad trades. I hated the first one that they gave him away. I hated the second one where they took him back. And I hated the third one again where they gave him away. I hated all three Brandon Saad trades. And I could go into extensive detail on why, but we'll do that at a different time. Speaking of trades, though, Frank, I'm at the game, 2 Fridays ago now? And they're playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Chicago Blackhawks. And all of a sudden, they're coming out onto the ice. There's no number 4. There's no number 71. Where the heck are Taylor Hall and Seth Jones? They were at morning skate this morning. We literally saw them before the game. All of a sudden, you check your email. The media email comes in. Seth Jones, illness. Taylor Hall, healthy scratch. Why would Taylor Hall be a healthy scratch again? It was dumb to healthy scratch him in November. It'd be even dumber to healthy scratch him now. all of a sudden the media starts going crazy. Everyone's head is down. Nobody's watching the game because Taylor Hall was part of a huge blockbuster 3-team trade involving the Chicago Blackhawks, Carolina Hurricanes, and Colorado Avalanche, where Taylor Hall goes to Carolina. Marty Necas and Jack Drury go to Colorado, and Mikko Rantanen goes to Carolina. It is one of the biggest trades I can ever recall happening in the middle of the season. Frank, what is your initial reaction to the trade?
Big. Happens after our show all the time. News like this drops.
That's right. So it was on a Friday. Totally.
It was because
totally.
Of course. Like something big always happens after.
Yep.
We get off the air, so who knows what's going to happen today?
Oh, tonight's going to be a massive one, I'm sure.
So, but, we've always talked about the Hurricanes not having that superstar player.
Mm-hmm.
Now acquiring Mikko Rantanen, they got a guy who can excel as the number one on a very good team. Rantanen's a proven 50-goal scorer, 2-time 100-point player. The Hurricanes, they had to lose their highest point scorer this season in Necas. But, I mean, you're replacing him with someone who's a lot better and has a much higher ceiling. Huge win for the Hurricanes, in my opinion. Now, as far as the Avalanche go, they're getting a great playmaker in Martin Necas. I told you, I wish Martin Necas would have came to the Hawks. I think he's a fantastic player.
We talked about Necas coming to the Hawks in Door County last year. I remember.
He's a great player, and I really like the guy because he's a playmaker. And because of that, his production shouldn't fall too much on Colorado. He's someone that's going to be able to create scoring plays. He's just a nice guy to have, especially with the year he's having. It's going to help out Colorado a little bit. Yeah, you're losing Rantanen, and Necas isn't as good as him, but things shouldn't falter off too much. And then obviously Jack Drury, he's a nice depth piece to add to the team. It's a big win to get him as well in there. And I think they got 2 draft picks out of the deal as well.
Yep.
So, I mean, I wouldn't call it a win for Colorado, but it's okay. And then obviously the Hawks were part of that trade, but they were just kind of here to do Carolina a favor, taking half of Mikko Rantanen's contract. We'll do you a favor now, and maybe you can help us down the line type of thing. But Carolina won this trade, obviously, because they upgraded their lineup in a big way. However, the big thing to come out of this trade, and maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't, they need to find a way to win a cup this year because there's always the chance that you're not able to re-sign Mikko Rantanen this offseason, which would prove to be a huge loss. If you can't re-sign him this offseason and you didn't win the cup this year, then it's like we made noise for nothing.
Can you imagine the Devils just smoke him in the first round?
That's what I'm saying. If that
not impossible. It's not possible. It's not impossible for Carolina to make a run. But if the Devils or Panthers beat them in the first 2 rounds, would you be shocked?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't be shocked. But then I would flip this trade and say it was a loss because you didn't make anything of it. And then if you lose them in the offseason, oh my God, that's bad. Then this is a loss by the Hurricanes.
Totally. So I normally agree with you. I normally think whatever team gets the best player in the trade is usually the winner of the trade. We talk about this in baseball all the time because every fan wants their top guys to be traded for a plethora of top prospects that you never know for sure are going to make it. Now, we know Necas and Drury are NHL players. Necas is a borderline star, and Drury's he's a good hockey player, man.
Good depth piece.
And, Stanley Cup teams have guys like Drury on their third line, or the third guy on their second line. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We learned Taylor Hall's trade value was not that high. It just wasn't. And it's probably to the fault of the Hawks because they were he was playing on the third and fourth line by the time he was done in Chicago. They really didn't do themselves any favors in terms of upping his trade value. If you're going to want to move on from Hall, why is he not first line, top power play every single game, playing with Bedard, just trying to feed him the puck so you can up that trade value so maybe you get a little bit better than a third? But from what I've heard and what I've been told, they were not getting more than a third. They really probably weren't getting more than a fourth, but eating half of Rantanen's contract bumped it up to a third. So, I actually think the Hawks did okay by getting a third for Hall because they weren't getting much more than that. And I found it interesting, though, that they didn't also retain on Hall. I thought they were going to have to retain on both. And that makes me believe that Kyle forced the hand to not have to retain on both, because under the collective bargaining agreement, each team can only retain on 3 guys. Blackhawks are retaining on Jake McCabe from when they traded him to Toronto a couple years ago. And they're retaining on Rantanen, who is up after this season. That leaves 1 spot left. They could retain on Jones if they decide to move, or anybody, really. But I think in theory it would be Jones if they were to move him. But they can now have that extra spot to retain on somebody. I found that to be a very interesting point for the trade. As far as Rantanen, listen, people were talking about, so I think Leon Draisaitl's contract changed everything when it came to Rantanen, because second best player on a team, but also is probably top 10 forward in the league, even without the guy on his team that's the star, right? Mm-hmm. Leon Draisaitl goes to any team, he's their top line center, except Edmonton, which is the team he plays for. I'm a little less confident that Rantanen will keep up the same pace than I would be Draisaitl on a different team. I think Draisaitl's power play points would see a slight dip if he weren't on the Oilers, because I think anybody would. I think even if McDavid wasn't on the Oilers at this point, his power play production might come down just a tad. I mean, on Edmonton, you have Nugent Hopkins, Bouchard, who's one of the best power play bombs in the NHL. Nugent Hopkins is in front of the net on every play. Zach Hyman's the best net front presence in the NHL, arguably. He's the new Joe Pavelski in that sense. But Rantanen, I don't know, man. He plays with the Nate Dogg at even strength and on the power play, and they have Cale Makar too. I just worry about giving a winger $14 million. And someone's going to do it. And the rumors are the Blackhawks are going to be in on him. I'm not going to crap on it if they do it, because you need to get Bedard like a superstar winger or like a really, really good winger. Rantanen's above a really, really good winger. I get that, but $14 million for a winger? I have a very, very difficult time with that. And if Carolina doesn't extend him, that's 2 years in a row they traded for a star winger, and they left during free agency. Makes you wonder if they would just do it again next year, because they got Gensel and Rantanen without giving up one of their top 4 prospects. That's crazy. That's really good work by their front office there down in Carolina. But it's going to be interesting to see where this Rantanen contract goes, because, again, centers, defensemen, yeah, they're going to make all the money. Cale Makar might get $1 billion in his next contract. Quinn Hughes, same thing with the Devils.
So you think there's a chance him leaving Colorado and going to play with a team with not as many superstars, production goes down a little bit, right? Is that what you're saying?
It's possible, yeah.
Like we're not going to assume we're going to have a 100-point guy here.
Yeah.
Especially since it's been a couple of years. Okay.
Totally.
I 100% get that. On the other hand, you could kind of look at it as like Rantanen once again is having a great year. Great year. And, by the way, scored against the Hawks last night.
Yeah. Hawks paid him $4.5 million to score a goal against them.
Yep. But Carolina, on the other hand, is having a much better season than Colorado. And I think Carolina is the overall better, well-rounded team here. Less superstars, because now you could argue that Rantanen's their number 1 superstar. It's got to be.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe this is going to be an environment now that he excels in, because I think Colorado has the more overall better elite players, but I think Carolina is the more well-rounded team that has a little bit of everything from top to bottom.
Yeah, so I agree with that.
Very interesting. Very interesting, because he's not used to in an environment like this.
Totally.
He could bomb it. He could shit the bed. I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's like same with Nietzsche. I think it's going to be basically the same production, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Nietzsche is now going to play with Makar and McKinnon, and we'll see what his production is, on the power play, I'm saying. And so we'll see what the production's able to be for him. Listen, I think Rantanen is one of the 3 best wingers in the NHL. I'm not.
I agree with you. It's a lot of money.
But I just have a really hard time paying wingers that much money. When's the last time a team won the Stanley Cup where their winger was their best overall player? I'm not saying highest scoring player, because Patrick Kane was certainly the Blackhawks' highest scoring player. But can you really say Kane was better than Taves and Keith during the Cup runs? No, you can't. You really, really can't. Kane was the 3rd best player on the team from 2010 to 2015. Without Duncan Keith and Taves, I don't see it. High scoring wingers, awesome. And Kane also, you can make the argument, Kane also drove offense like a center. He just didn't take faceoffs. Rantanen doesn't do that. Mm-hmm. Rantanen wants the puck in certain areas so he could shoot it, and or if he gets the puck in certain areas, he'll make a good play. I don't see him as really the only winger in the league I can compare to Kane that's active right now is Marner. He kind of drives offense like a center a little bit. Rantanen kind of reminds me of a bigger, stronger version of Zach Parise back in the day. He needed to find the puck, and when I say bigger and stronger, he's like way bigger and way stronger. But like battling down low, finding Nate Dogg, I don't know, man. I have a hard time. I think you build down the middle and through the defense. And goalies go from sucking to being good to sucking to being good. Look at Bobrovsky. He's had years with like 890 save percentages, but he's won the Vezina Trophy twice, the Stanley Cup once. He probably should have won the Conn Smythe, and he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. But there have been a couple really down years in there for Bobrovsky. Igor, 1 year he's the best. 1 year he looks like he never stopped a puck in his life. I don't know. It's hard to determine that. I think you pay through the middle of the ice. And Sebastian Aho is a great centerman for Rantanen. But if he comes to Chicago and has like an 80-point season, which is really good, but coming off of Colorado where you were like the dog, you were the bee's knees in Colorado, it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes down. I hope I'm wrong because I root for players. But then if you're Taylor Hall, you got to be just over the moon. You're all of a sudden in a significant playoff, picture, and you're no longer, on this terrible team that's not going anywhere.
See, and Tom brings up a good point about Drury. Would Drury compare to Dave Bolland? That's a very interesting comment. Because I say that, yeah.
That's fair.
I would say, yeah. I mean, their production's just roughly about the same. A depth piece that teams love to have. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Bolland had something about him that was incredibly clutch. And I'm not just saying that because he scored a Stanley Cup game-winning goal 17 seconds after they tied it. I remember even in the regular season, there were moments where Bolland would always just come up with a big goal in certain. And I'm not saying Drury can't be that. He's got a whole career ahead of him where he could be that, absolutely. But yeah, that's a very fair comparison, a high-end bottom six forward. And Bolland, unfortunately for him, and this happens to guys, it happened to Bickle. Some of these bottom six guys that have 1 or 2 really good playoff runs, they sign for too much money elsewhere. And then everybody hates them in that new town because they're not living up to that $4 million contract when, they thrived when they were a 1.5 or a $2 million guy. I remember when Dave Bolland went to Toronto after playing with the Hawks, it was really? No one would turn down that money. I get that. But but yeah, I like the comparison.
It's a very good comparison.
Totally. Is there another guy in the league right now that you could think of that's on a top team? Is there anybody on Vegas that kind of screams out at you?
That reminds me of Jack Drury.
Jack Drury or that Dave Bolland. Oh, Ross Colton. Ross Colton's a good one. He's on Colorado now, but when he was on Tampa, he was a bottom six forward that was just super clutch. Always, coming up big, was able to score some goals. Yeah. That was one that popped in my head.
It's not a bad one. I'm trying to think.
What's his name on? He was a rookie. What's his name on Florida? Lindell. Anton Lindell.
Lindell's a little bit better though.
He has a higher ceiling. I agree.
You need somebody who's like is never going to really be more than a 35, 40 point guy, but is he's the guy you need on the team.
Totally.
Like not an Andrew Shaw, but like you need somebody who's like that. You can't win a cup without him.
Totally.
Now you can win a cup without Jack Drury, but I mean he's young. He's fairly fresh in the league. He could develop into that type of player. And I think he will. I think it's a great piece that they're adding. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. In the long term, I could see Colorado being the winner. In the short term, I could see Carolina being the winner. In the long term, I could see Carolina being the winner. Blackhawks are just facilitators.
Yeah, we're just like a help you out, you help me.
Yeah. What if they met in the Stanley Cup final?
That would be insane. That would be insane.
I wouldn't say it's impossible.
It's not impossible. Even with how mediocre Colorado's been, I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Like who would definitively beat who would you go into a series right now and say it's basically a lock that Colorado gets beat by them? I really don't think there's anybody there. I would pick Vegas. I would pick Edmonton. I would pick Winnipeg. I might pick Colorado over. Oh, maybe Dallas. Dallas is up there.
Colorado upsetting any of those teams you named.
Me too, except for Vegas.
You think?
I think Vegas gets it done in the West.
They're just one of those teams, though, Colorado.
You're right, but Vegas lost in the first round last year. Whenever they lose in the first round, and they lost in 7 to Dallas, like they could have beat Edmonton in the conference, and I would have rooted for Edmonton. Obviously, I like the Oilers, but like I don't know. Part of me thinks either Vegas or Edmonton get it done this year from the West, but Vegas, man, they're so good, and they do it. Mark Stone makes a good amount of money, but $9 million compared to $14 million. All the rest of their highest paid guys are winger or centers and defensemen.
Yeah,
and they're cutthroat. They're like Pietrangelo. You're not going to Four Nations face-off. You're still good to play right now, but you're not going. Eichel, you're good. You could go. Speaking of Four Nations face-off, Frank, we got the captains revealed yesterday. Would you like me to read them off?
Yeah, I got them here, but go ahead. For the viewers.
No, go ahead. Read them off.
For Team USA, captain is Austin Matthews. The alternates are Matthew Tkachuk and Charlie McAvoy. For Team Canada, you got none other than legend Sidney Crosby, captain of Team Canada, with the alternates Connor McDavid and Cale Makar. For Team Finland, really, I'm not surprised by any of these captains. We got Captain Alexander Barkov with alternates Sebastian Aho, Mikael Granlund, and Mikko Rantanen. And for Team Sweden, we got Captain Victor Hedman with alternates Ekholm, Carlson, and Nylander. I thought you could only have 2 alternates, unless this is different for the Four Nations.
I think in the game, only 2. So okay. I think for Sweden and Finland, 2 of those 3 will dress with A's in different games.
Gotcha.
And that's why I think USA and Canada, do they just pick their 2 alternate captains? Right, I found it interesting. Was it Finland didn't do a defenseman? I thought that was strange because that was my argument, because me and Joey were actually having this conversation yesterday when discussing the Canadian guys. We were a little surprised that they named Makar over McKinnon. I'm like, well, they probably just wanted a D, because in the way I always viewed captains was you want one on the ice at all times. Mm-hmm. And so you figure one of Makar, McDavid, or Crosby will be on the ice at all times. You know, pretty much I bet 100% of the game or 80% of the game, one of those 3 is on the ice. So if you have an issue, one of your captains is out there. I don't know. That's kind of how I always viewed the whole thing. But then again, if you think about the Finnish guys, like one of those 4 is always going to be on the ice.
Yeah.
So, you know, well,
I mean, Sweden went with a captain for their defenseman, or a defenseman for their captain.
Yeah. Well, Victor Hedman. I mean,
oh yeah,
you guys going to the Hall of Fame. A lot of these guys are, though. Honestly, do you have a problem with any of the captains? Not a problem, but like, would you have gone in a different direction anywhere?
Honestly, probably not.
I have one.
No,
I'm a Matthews guy, right? He's one of my favorite players, has been for a long time. I would have made Matthew Tkachuk the captain. I just think Team USA, they got to figure out a way to beat Canada, man. And I just think Matthew Tkachuk, not that it really matters what letters on his body, but I don't know. I definitely think having the Leaf be Captain America, that'll sell some jerseys, that'll bring some extra hype. I get it. But I would have went with Tkachuk.
But like Matthews just being named the captain of the Maple Leafs, doesn't that make more sense now? You're kind of like giving him that honor to lead Team USA.
Yeah, totally. And
a slap.
They all deserve it.
It wouldn't be a slap in the face, but like Matthew Tkachuk's, I mean, he's the only other option for Team USA.
Yeah, Quinn Hughes not rotating with McAvoy too kind of surprised me. I thought that would be the case. When I saw that Finland and Sweden named 3 guys, I thought USA was going to do that and have McAvoy with Quinn Hughes. And they didn't give it to Quinn, which is fine. McAvoy, people don't realize how good of a leader that guy is. He's going to be the Bruins' next captain. And like, it's kind of like a different kind of captain where like, you just know, everybody in that room knows that he's like the guy. So him being an A with Team USA is great.
It's big.
I'm happy Canada gave it to Crosby.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either, but there were people that were pushing for McDavid.
Nah, you got to give it to Crosby. I mean, his career is coming to an end. He's always been one of the greatest captains in NHL history. There's no reason not to give it to him. Yeah. McDavid will have his time for the next 10 to 15 years on whatever the case may be for Team Canada. Can't just snub Crosby.
I think as long as Crosby's playing hockey, as long as he's on the team, he's the captain.
I feel like the captain, an assistant or an alternate, that'd be crazy. Like, I feel like you're disrespecting him a little bit.
Yeah. He wasn't the captain in Vancouver in 2010.
And it was weird.
But he was like 22. Not 20,2.
No, 2-0.
They made Niedermayer the captain that year, I believe. Which makes sense. But now, like next year in the Olympics, Crosby better be captain too.
Yeah, he will.
But McDavid and Makar, I mean, those 3 guys plus McKinnon are the reason I think Canada wins the whole thing. We will offer our predictions, before the tournament starts. But I mean, it's going to be very fun. I'm very much looking forward to it. We got a couple injury updates. Alex Pietrangelo dropped out of the Four Nations face-off. Vegas is holding him back so that he can focus on the Golden Knights season for the rest of the year, which he's playing in Golden Knights games right now. So I don't know if it's just because of his age and whatnot. I have no idea, but we'll see where that leads. And then they haven't named a replacement yet, though. Some options are, they got guys in consideration. Like I just had the top couple guys in my head, and now I'm drawing a blank.
I did not see any of the replacement options, so I can't help you there.
Montour, Dougie Hamilton. There were Chris Tanev from the Maple Leafs was one of them. There are a couple. It's going to be a really, really good player. I mean, part of me thinks they're going to lean more towards a defensive style guy because it's Pietrangelo that's coming out. Mm-hmm. And Canada doesn't care about best skill all the time. They really like to build like a good hockey team, like the right way. So we'll see what they do. It should be fun to see. The NHL did announce that there will be no repercussions for players missing the Four Nations face-off like they do with the All-Star game. So
yeah, that's good.
I think that's good too. I think it's BS that they do it with the All-Star game too. But if someone's dealing with a slightly nagging injury, but it's not enough where they want to miss a game, but they might want to miss the All-Star game. Like I get that. But I also get it keeps people from just missing because they want to go to Cabo.
Right.
Like, I think it should be kind of like up to discretion, really. That's just my opinion, though. I'm crazy. Last night, we had a big Blockbuster go down. Probably, around 10 o'clock? This stuff started going down. Yeah. 10 o'clock local time. a big trade between the Calgary Flames and the Philadelphia Flyers. Philadelphia sends, hold on, I'm going to look for the graphic here.
I think I got it up.
Philadelphia sends Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost to Calgary in exchange for Andrei Kuzmenko, Jacob Pelletier, a 2025 second-round pick, and a 2028 seventh-round pick. We're dealing in the 2028, guys. Kind of crazy. I think 3 years ahead is the draft picks you're allowed to trade. That's like the cap.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure in the NBA you could trade like your 2060 first round pick if you want.
I
don't not that far, but I feel like it's farther than the NHL. Because I'm
pretty sure I've seen like 2030s being thrown around in the NBA.
Yeah, and like, why wouldn't you if you're a GM if that were allowed? Because like you're probably not going to be in charge then. What GM lasts longer than 5 years in most sports?
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
If you do, that means you're really good and you probably have won a couple cups or NBA titles. So like you won't care about that first round pick. So it's interesting. But Frank, your thoughts on the trade?
Something obviously I wasn't expecting. Kuzmenko, great player.
Yep.
He's a great player. And now he's going to play with the Philadelphia Flyers, who are up and coming. Got Michkov on the team. Now, Kuzmenko's production has dropped off, obviously, mightily since he's come into the league. I believe when he first came into the league, he had, let's see if I could find it really quick. Oh, yeah, he was a 39-goal scorer. He almost had 40 goals, 74 points. I mean, it's been progressively getting worse, but obviously he's on a much worse team. He was with Vancouver. Calgary's not as good as Vancouver, and his production this year has been bad. But I think going to a team who's on the up, not like Calgary. Calgary's still got so many issues that this team, every year we talk about them, like they got to go on full-on rebuild, and they just don't. I think going to the Flyers is going to be a huge plus for him. And then on the other side, Frost Farabee, I don't know what to think about it for the Calgary Flames because I don't like what this team's been doing over the past half decade.
I get it. I love the trade for the Flames.
Really?
Yeah, I was literally thinking yesterday. I was thinking about writing an article on it. I don't know if I'm going to, though.
I just don't know if I could get behind it.
I'm like, why didn't the Hawks entertain the idea of bringing over Farabee and Frost as like depth guys for the future? Like they could have given up like Colton Dock, a 4th round pick and a 7th round pick for Farabee and Frost, 2 guys who are like 35, 40 point getters in their early 20s, like lots of talent, like could grow into like not star players, but like, well productive players to support the likes of Bedard and Nazar. I wouldn't trade Nazar in a trade like this. I would trade Nazar if it meant getting like Peterson. But like, you need to start filling out the roster with guys who get 40, 50 points. Not every player you get is a superstar that gets 80 plus points. You need to fill out the roster with these 50, 60 point guys. You need Brian Bickle. You need Victor Stahlberg. You need Dave Bolland. Mm-hmm. That's what these guys can be. And I'm thinking to myself, like, really? That's really all Calgary gave up to get these guys? Now, Calgary doesn't have the Connor Bedard.
That's what I'm saying. What good does it do? They got so many problems, though.
They're teetering on the bubble. They're teetering on the bubble of the playoffs, though.
Well, yeah, because they're not bad, but they're not cup good.
They're not cup good, but if their goal is to make the playoffs, this is a good trade for them.
Well, why is your goal to make the playoffs if you're really not going to go anywhere? Like, then you're just screwed next year or the year after because you're constantly the mediocre team in the NHL. There might not be another mid team like them that just stay in the middle and do nothing every year.
I get it. I get what you're saying. And for the Flyers, they clear up a lot of cap space, which we did get some breaking news before the show started about the cap. Did you see this?
No.
The salary cap estimates for the next 3 seasons, 25-26, bumps up to 95 schmil. 2026-27, 104 schmil.
Wow.
2027-28, 113 mil.
Wow. That's nuts.
Not to make it all about me, but I'm going to make it all about me. Dougie Hamilton's money comes off the book in between that 104 and 113. So they're going to have a lot of cap space freed up as it is, the 8 or 9 million. Mr. Quinn Hughes becomes a free agent the same offseason. And nobody's going to look me in the eye and say there's a 0% chance. Do I think it is for sure? No. Do I think it's possible? I think it'd be ignorant to think it's not possible.
It's always possible.
To come play with his brother. Isn't that where you'd want to go?
Yeah.
I
think that'd be sick.
Me and Joey are on the Devils. You're playing for Vancouver. All you hear about is how two of your teammates can't stand each other, and the media doesn't ask you anything. All of a sudden, you're a free agent, and the team that me and Joey are playing for offers you $15 million a year. Not only do you get to be generationally wealthy for the rest of your life, you get to come play with us.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
I mean, I think it's a no-brainer, and they could be a freaking dynasty if they got Quinn.
It could happen. You never know. It could happen.
I'm here for it. I'm starting that narrative now. I'm all in.
It's possible. Very possible.
And because with that cap going up and Dougie Hamilton's $9 million coming off the books in the same offseason that Quinn becomes a UFA, get Hischier signed ahead of time. Hughes isn't up till 2030, Jack Hughes. But if Quinn and Luke are on the team long term, he'll stay. So, yeah. It's exciting. But yeah, back to the trade. Hopefully it works out for both teams. Flyers clear some cap. Keith Jones and Danny Briere are very progressive in running that team. So we'll see where it goes for them leading forward. Calgary, do you think they hang on and make playoffs?
Where are they right now?
In the second wild card spot, 1 point ahead of Vancouver.
No, I don't
1 point ahead of Vancouver.
I don't think so. Vancouver's hot right now. Calgary, they're just mediocre. They're doing nothing to help their cause. What's going on with this team? It's annoying. Are they good?
I'll say this. I think every team below Vancouver is done. Utah done, St. Louis done, Seattle done, below that done. If Vancouver trades Pettersson, Calgary gets in.
I don't know.
If they don't, Vancouver gets in. That's
Calgary gets in to get blown out by.
It would be, as of right now, the Winnipeg Wets.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And if you're the Jets, who have had these amazing regular seasons, you kind of need a first-round series where you just blow through the team and have some good playoff confidence going into that second round.
5.
Yeah. Just take care of them in 5. That way, when you play the winner of Minnesota, Dallas in the second round, you know that you're not going to just muffin like you have the last couple years against the top teams. All right, Frank, really quick. We're going to go quickly. Utah name update. This team's foobarring the whole thing. They're foobarring the whole thing so fast.
Why? Why do you think that?
Oh, because they're just dumb. 2 days ago, or 3 days ago now, they put out a fan vote because Yeti is no longer going to be the team name. Clayton Keller basically spoiled about this time last year that they were going to be the Yeti. Or not this time last year, but he spoiled it early that they were going to be the Yeti, and now it's not going to be the Yeti because of trademark issues. So they put out a survey for fans to vote, and the options that they were given to vote for are the Utah Mammoth, the Utah Hockey Club, and the Utah Wasatch. And then the backlash against the name Wasatch was so negative that Utah decided to out it from the vote and replace it with the Outlaws. So now fans could go online and vote for Utah Mammoth, Utah Hockey Club, or the Utah Outlaws. I actually don't think you could go online and vote. You have to, I forget how you do it. But Frank, they're foobarring this whole thing.
Well, first of all, let me just say something really quick. So let me start from the top. When you're talking about the Yeti, I think there's a big missed opportunity because there were legal issues with Yeti coolers. There was a moneymaker right there. There was I don't know how you missed this opportunity to like trademark it Yeti coolers and the name. It would be like, we make tons of money and we'll let you use our Yeti cooler as like a sponsorship and you'll make tons of money. Missed marketing opportunity there on that one.
Totally.
Which is fine though. It doesn't matter. I wasn't this big fan of the Yeti it was okay.
I agree. It was okay. It was the best of all these names.
Right. I was content with it. But anyway, the Wasatch thing, for those who are wondering what a Wasatch is, well, it's a famous mountain range in Utah.
Famous.
Well, let me just say, no disrespect to Utah, dumb name for a hockey team.
Terrible.
I can't believe that was even an option. I agree with the fans. There should have been backlash. Dumb name.
The Appalachians are a famous mountain range. The Rockies are a famous mountain range. Like,
you don't
Wasatch.
say Wasatch. It was like we're grasping for straws because there's nothing in Utah that we could choose to make a name on. So I'm going to choose the most a mountain range name. Dumb. Now, however, replacing with Outlaws, I like Outlaws. I think that's the best choice now, and I hope that's what they go with, because in my head, when I hear Outlaws, I picture like a cowboy, like, but not like a cowboy like that. Like, I could picture their logo with like no like facial recognition, just like you're a plain face with like a cowboy hat and a lasso or something. You could do something cool with this, with the Outlaws. Maybe what's that thing? A holster, a holster on his side. Like, you could make it look real cool. A character like that. The other ones, I know you like the hockey club. To me, I'm not a fan of that. I'm just not a fan of that. And the mammoth, I could see you could do stuff with like a woolly mammoth and some cool logo, and mascot would be really cool with that. But I'm here for the Outlaws now. I am. They foobarred it with the Yeti. If you're a marketing guy, and like, I don't know, I feel like there could have been a deal done there, just for money purposes.
My number one choice was the Blizzard.
That would have been
if you have the Blizzard and the Avalanche in the same division, one state apart, that was where I was at. I do like the hockey club. It's very Premier League soccer to me. Like, I like that idea only because of where they're at now. It's never my first choice, but like, I'd be cool if one team in every sport had that. It doesn't really make sense for baseball. Like the Washington football team, that sounded cool. It's way cooler than the Commanders to me. And the Utah hockey, I think their jerseys are sick. I love their jerseys. I hope they keep that color scheme with whatever team they pick. And I also wouldn't be mad if they replaced the black with purple. I've heard that as a rumor.
Purple.
Yeah, true. That's right. Yeah, exactly, true. So we'll see how it goes.
The Outlaws?
I'd be okay with the Outlaws. I'd be okay with the hockey club. I'm down to those two.
I agree. Kind of. I really don't want the hockey club, but
yeah, you've been an anti-team name club.
It's not fun. I don't enjoy it.
I get that it's not fun.
It doesn't roll off the tongue. You don't have, like, what's their mascot? Do they have a mascot?
I don't think so yet.
You can't. How do you have a mascot with hockey club? You just have a normal guy dressed in a uniform and like
make it a Yeti.
Then are there legal issues there or what?
I'm not getting in the middle of that.
I don't understand. I'm like dumbfounded.
I get you, Frank. I get you. All right, so we're gonna switch gears. I know you don't want to talk about this.
No, I don't. It was devastating.
We'll just go through it quickly because we only got an hour show and we're 45 minutes in. But your Buffalo Bills, talk about FUBAR. They lost again to the Kansas City Chiefs, who will be going to Super Bowl 49. It was a great game. I think it was an instant classic again. If I'm the NFL, I'm doing what I can to make sure these two teams play, which they both won their divisions, and they're both in the AFC, so they will play each other in the regular season next year, which is great. I hope they keep winning their divisions. The Bills will probably win by 2 scores in that game.
In the regular season, they'll smoke the Chiefs.
Absolutely, Frank. Again, I was very bad at predicting games this year that had to do with the Commanders and Eagles.
Yeah.
But I told you from day one of the season, in week 1, you are not going to find me betting against the Chiefs until they lose. Until they lose, I'm not doing. They're God's favorite team. When Broncos had that field goal block, I texted you, God's favorite team. What can go right will go right for that team. And then I'll let you go and give your goodbye message to the Bills. But who are the two best players on the Chiefs? Patrick Mahomes and Xavier Worthy. The Buffalo Bills gave the Chiefs the picks that they used on both Patrick Mahomes and Xavier Worthy. The Chiefs traded up to get both with Buffalo. All of this is basically the Bills' own fault in more ways than one. And it's sad because I was rooting to eat some chicken wings on Super Bowl Sunday. It's sad. Sad state of affairs.
Listen. For one, Chiefs, Mahomes, give him credit. He just thrives in those types of moments, right? When his back's up against the wall, he's clutch. He may go down as the best player to ever play in the NFL. It's just, those are the things.
He's knocked on Tom Brady's door for sure.
You got to agree with me here. That fourth down call, piss poor. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
There were. It's just, bad officiating. I saw a.
But do you believe that's the reason the Chiefs won?
No. I mean, Well, listen.
It helped.
At that
made
time,
it easier.
At that time, the Bills had a lead in the fourth quarter with the ball. Convert that. I think they're on the 30-something yard line.
Yeah.
Well in field goal range. Doesn't mean they're going to score a touchdown. Could they score a touchdown? Yeah. You score a touchdown. We don't know what happens after that drive. The next play, the Bills could turn it over. Right?
And see, that's kind of where I'm at. I think that happens.
But I don't, because of how well Josh Allen, the Bills historically had a historic year of turnovers. They were just so good. They were moving the ball. You can't. First of all, the one ref comes in saying he's got it.
Yeah, I know. It looked like the replacement refs in 2013.
Why does this ref have more say than this one? To me, you'd go with the benefit of the doubt. All right, this one has it. And then the replay. In tennis, we have automatic line calling. I don't know if you saw that picture. How come we can't do something with that here? We had an overhead shot. We had every shot available. And it's just heartbreaking that it has to end like that and change the whole complexion when there's such a big call like that. It irritates me that there needs to be something done by video-assisted refs or something. It's just unbelievable. And it crushed me. It absolutely crushed me.
I get it. I totally get it. It was a crushing game. I think we were all rooting for the Bills. I have no problem with Kansas City. None. I think they're going to win. We'll give our predictions. Next week, we'll give our true predictions. But everybody knows I'm not picking against the Chiefs anytime soon. I think they're going to win next year too. So, it's just crazy. What were you going to say?
It can't be fun rooting for the Chiefs unless you're a big Chiefs fan.
I was going to say, if you're a Chiefs fan,
if
probably
you're a Chiefs
big
fan,
fun.
Living Kiff, yeah. But if you're anybody else, this isn't fun. I don't root for him because he's great. Now it's boring. Now it's literally pissing me off. I don't want to see them in the Super Bowl every year as a fan, as a football fan.
See, I love dynasties.
That's crazy.
Cool. I think they're cool.
I can't believe you could look me in the eye and you want him to win the next 7 in a row. That's just boring.
Well, I don't. I didn't say that.
Well, but you could see him winning this year, next year. That's not fun.
Well, I didn't say that would be fun, but I do like dynasties. I appreciate greatness. I want Josh to get one. I want Lamar to get one.
It's like watching a TV show that every season ends the same. It has the same finale every year. But it would lose ratings. It would be boring, and it is boring.
The only thing I don't like about it is it kind of ruined the sports mindset for a lot of people. Because, let's look at the Cubs, for example. They're seen as this wildly underachieving team when they had their core. No, they weren't. They made it to the NLCS 3 years in a row. They won a World Series one of the times. That's normal. What Mahomes and Brady did are not normal. That's not supposed to happen. The leagues are not designed for that to be the case. So that's why the fact that he is doing it like this, I'm like, damn, that guy's a freaking legend.
But it's not fun.
It doesn't have recognizing something as legendary and something being fun are not exclusive. Or they're not the same.
Recognize it's legendary, and like I said, he's great. He's going to go down as probably the best player to ever play in the NFL.
What does he have to do that, in your opinion? What needs to happen for Mahomes to be the GOAT over Tom?
I don't think it just comes down to Super Bowls.
No, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. Tom's got 7 Super Bowls. One came with the Bucs late. He won in his 20s, 30s, and 40s.
But we're getting to the point where even if I think he gets one less, he could be the GOAT. Because
I think he could get 2 or 3 less and still
because of the way he moves out there on the field, and he's very situational. Like Tom was dominant. Tom Brady was a dominant quarterback, but Patrick Mahomes, he's very finesse. He could finesse the other team when he moves, when he needs to get he's falling down, he makes the pass. He's scrambling, he's under pressure. He gets a 20-yard completion on 4th and 15. It's like things like those in situational based quarterbacking. He's clutch, and Tom wasn't like that. Tom was just dominant. He was just great. That's what I'm saying. It's he's getting up there, VP already, and it's just And I get it. You could recognize greatness. I recognize greatness, but I just don't want to see it every year. I don't want to see him win it this year, and then next year we're gonna go for I want to see people live for the underdogs and the upsets here, and I mean, this is a rematch, a Super Bowl rematch of just 2 seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
The next 5 years,
Eagles, to their credit, have been in it twice. This is their 3rd time in the last 5 or 6 years.
That's why go Birds, because I think that'd be electric. It'd be electric factory. The headlines, Chiefs dethroned, going for 3rd straight Super Bowl.
It's not impossible.
No, it's not impossible. I will be rooting for the Eagles. I'm just bored of it. And I'm sure the same people were saying the same stuff about the Hawks when they were winning as many cups as we were. But being a Hawks fan, it's different for me. But it's just different now.
They also never went back to back, let alone 3 in a row.
Exactly. And it's just, do you know how you love a treat? You love a good treat.
Love it.
Oh, an upset treat of comes down to the last play, and Hurts makes a great pass in the end zone with no time left to win the Super Bowl. That's electric. That's something you want to see. If Mahomes did that, it's no shit. It's going to happen. He's got the ball last at the end of the game. He's going to win the game. It's just not exciting. And I know I'm not the only one.
2 years ago, the Bills took the lead with 13 seconds left in the game, and the Chiefs still won it.
Right. And listen, was it last year or what was the year the Chiefs made a comeback to win the Super Bowl? It was big. They were down double digits, I think. Was that
Probably, yeah.
And I was pumped back then because he was going for not as many in a row. That was how he's won what, 3?
3.
So
3 in the last 6 years, 2 in a row.
So the Eagles was his 2nd one when he beat the Eagles. And last year was his 3rd, and he's going for his 4th. So against the Eagles, I wasn't this big hater. I was hell yeah, that's sick. He got the Super Bowl against.
And they were the underdog in that.
Yeah, and I'm oh, he made a great comeback. That was exciting. I lost all feeling for that right now with the Chiefs. And they can come back down the line, but right now, no.
Do you have anything on Eagles versus Commanders?
I mean, Eagles they proved why the Commanders need need time. The Commanders are young. They have a long way to go. I don't even I shouldn't say this, but I don't even think they deserve to be in the NFC Championship game, but they did. They did everything right. But the way I know that the way they looked during the regular season, but that's how sports work. You make some deep runs.
12-5 ain't bad.
No, it's not bad at all. But some of their wins that they got, against the Bears, I mean, they didn't have those wins that I could see them being a Super Bowl champ or even in the NFC Championship. I don't see them getting back here next year. I don't. I mean, they very well can. Jaden Daniels, he was great.
They turned the ball over 3 times, and I think that made the score look more of a blowout than the game actually was. I think the game was closer than the score indicated because of those turnovers and 7 rushing touchdowns against. I mean, hard to win when you give up 7 rushing touchdowns. Did you know the Dallas Cowboys only had 6 rushing touchdowns all season? And the Eagles had 7 in one game. So, yeah, Eagles very good. We'll see what they're able to do again in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. We will go over predictions and a much more deep dive in the game next week on Friday's show. Frank, I think it's time for America's favorite podcast segment of the week, Breaking Bets.
Where's my money, bitch?
Frank, the floor is yours.
So I'm doing something a little bit different, something I probably haven't done in a while, or if I've never done it before, but all 3 picks this week are going to be NHL picks because next week, all 3 picks or however many picks are going to be Super Bowl picks. So I'm going to go all NHL picks this week, starting off with the Nashville Predators against the Buffalo Sabres. Both teams are having horrible seasons. It's really been a nightmare season for the Nashville Predators, more so than the Sabres because of, that massive offseason by the Predators. Good thing for Predators fans, though, is the team's been playing a lot better lately. The team comes into this game winning 4 of their last 5 games. I'm looking for the Predators to avenge their horrible loss to Anaheim the other night. They've had a week off to rest, and they've beaten the Buffalo Sabres in their last 3 meetings. Buffalo, they're not playing consistent hockey at the moment. They really haven't been playing consistent hockey this whole year. So I like the Predators to get it done tonight. Predators money line at -118. Bet to win 2 units. We got another good matchup. The Vancouver Canucks are very hot right now. They go into Dallas. These 2 teams, they normally start out hot against one another. Usually a lot of goals. I think in 5 of the last 7 games between these two, the first period has gone over 1.5, meaning there's been 2 or more goals with these 2 teams in 5 of their last 7 meetings. So you can normally expect a very hot start when these 2 teams are playing each other. This year, though, the Dallas defense really stepped it up a notch. The Vancouver offense hasn't really been that explosive this season. They only averaged 2.84 goals per game. Plus, both teams have been playing great hockey lately, so I expect goals to be harder to come by with how well these teams have played in recent games. We're going to go with the first period under 1.5 at -110. Bet to win 2 units on that one. Going against the little trend we've seen between these two, I'm going to take the under 1.5 for the first period there. And then finally, we got the Columbus Blue Jackets at the Utah Hockey Club. We're going to go with Utah money line at -170. Bet to win 2 units. Utah, they're sizable favorites against Columbus for a couple of reasons. First, Columbus Blue Jackets have been competitive lately, but they've fallen back into some early season habits. Hey, they beat the Kings. They beat Vegas last night, 2 great wins, but they just lack a lot of consistency and they kind of fall back into regression a lot lately. And I see them falling off for the remainder of the season. We talk about the Blue Jackets a lot. This is also a back-to-back for them. Like I said, they played the Golden Knights last night. All of these factors have played into this line and why Utah is such a high favorite. But this team, back when they were Arizona, they've always played Columbus hard. It's the same team, just different stadium. And I think that's going to hurt Columbus even more because this is the first time they've ever had to go into Utah and play. So this will be history for them. But Utah/Arizona, the team has beaten Columbus the last 4 times they've played. Utah's coming home after a 3-game road trip. Columbus, like I said, never played in the building. So everything to me points towards Utah, even though they're sizable favorites. So we're going to go Utah money line -170. Bet to win 2 units. And those are my 3 picks for you this week. All hockey. Don't really do that too often, but yeah.
Very interesting. Good luck to you. Hope you win. Adam Boquist claimed off waivers by the New York Islanders. Terrible draft pick by the Blackhawks from the day they made it. And I told you that on draft day.
Yep.
And
I didn't like him.
Brandon Saad, Vegas Golden Knights.
Oh.
So, a little stretch run for him. Probably play on their 3rd or 4th line. We'll see where it goes. So, see how that goes. Yep. Absolutely. Well, thank you to everybody who watched our show today, participated in the chat. We enjoy you very much. Thank you for listening. Make sure you go to the Barroom Network, click subscribe, follow at the King Bean, at Vinny Parisi on Twitter.com. And as always, Frank, thank you for listening.
Thank you.